Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Let's take a moment right now and consider something powerful, not your bank account, not your job title, but something far more valuable, your mind. You see, your mind is the gateway, it's the steering wheel, it's the soil where every dream is planted and where every failure begins or ends. And today, I want to talk to you about training that mind, not just casually, not just when it's convenient, but training your mind like a millionaire. Discipline is the foundation of a millionaire mind. It's not the kind of discipline you only apply when you're feeling good, when the sun is shining, or when everything is going your way. No, it's the kind that kicks in especially when it's hard. When it's raining outside, when your phone is full of distractions, when your friends are all taking it easy, that's when real discipline shows up. Discipline is the decision to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. You see, millionaire minds don't wait for motivation, they rely on habits. They've trained themselves to follow through, to push past emotion and operate on principle. They have mastered the art of keeping promises to themselves. And that right there is a form of power most people never tap into. Because when you learn to trust yourself, to do what you said you'd do, you begin to move like someone with purpose, someone with direction. The truth is, we're all creatures of habit, but the successful, the wealthy, the ones who lead, those folks have disciplined their habits to serve their goals. They wake up with intention, they set a plan, and they work the plan. And they don't need someone to stand over them. They don't need a boss to say, get to work. Their inner voice is louder than the outside noise. That's discipline. Now, let me be clear. Discipline is not perfection. It doesn't mean you never slip, never rest, never fail, but it means you don't let those moments define you. A disciplined mind learns to reset fast. They don't sulk for days. They don't throw in the towel because of one bad decision. They forgive themselves quickly and get back on track. That bounce, back ability, that mental toughness, that's the sign of a trained mind. Think of a professional athlete. They don't become elite by practicing only when it's convenient. They do the reps, day in, day out. The mind works the same way. When you train your thoughts to align with your goals, when you teach yourself to act with consistency, regardless of how you feel, you begin to build the kind of discipline that millionaires live by. This level of discipline starts small. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Begin with your morning. Millionaire minds understand the value of owning the first hour of the day. They don't leave it up to chance. They don't wake up reactive. They wake up ready. Whether it's journaling, reading, planning, or simply sitting in silence, there is structure, and that structure builds momentum. And momentum, my friend, is the secret fuel behind discipline. When you build the habit of showing up for yourself each morning, it spills over into how you show up for the world. Discipline also means saying no, not just to the bad stuff. That's easy. Anyone can say no to something that's clearly harmful. But the real test is saying no to good things so you can say yes to great ones. Millionaire minds have mastered the art of delayed gratification. They don't need the rush of now. They're building for later. And they understand that every yes carries a cost, so they choose their commitments with care. They protect their time like their most prized possession, because it is. There's also discipline in how they think. A millionaire mind doesn't dwell in negativity. When challenges come, and they always do, they don't waste time complaining. They look for the lesson. They stay calm under pressure. Why? Because they've trained their mind to see problems as puzzles, not as roadblocks. They know the brain, like a muscle, gets stronger with resistance. So they welcome the friction. They lean into discomfort, because comfort never built anything worth having. Let's not forget, discipline multiplies. When you apply it in one area of your life, it begins to spread. You start keeping your space clean. You start managing your finances with more care. You eat better. You think clearer. You move with energy. It becomes a rhythm, a pattern of excellence, and people notice. Opportunities begin to show up because you're no longer blending in. You're standing out, not with noise, but with consistency. People trust discipline. They respect it because it's rare. That's why it's the foundation. Without discipline, all the vision, all the ambition, all the dreams, they collapse under the weight of inconsistency. But with discipline, even the smallest spark can turn into something massive, something meaningful, something lasting. Belief determines your ceiling. Raise it. Every action you take, every goal you set, and every limit you break is born first in your mind. What you believe about yourself and your potential sets the boundary for what you even dare to try. If your belief is small, your efforts will be small. If your belief is strong, your life will stretch to meet it. Millionaire minds operate from an elevated belief system. They don't just hope things will work out. They believe they can make them work. That belief becomes their compass, guiding them through uncertainty and setbacks. You can give two people the same opportunity, same tools, same environment, and one will rise while the other stays stuck. The difference, belief. One person thinks, I can figure this out, and the other thinks, I probably can't do this. The skill level might be equal, but the belief level is worlds apart. It's not talent that separates the successful, it's mindset. It's the ability to see possibility where others see problems, to say, why not me, when others say, that's not for me. Belief opens doors that doubt keeps locked. What you tell yourself daily is a conversation that becomes your reality. If you constantly think you're behind, not good enough, or that success is for other people, you'll start living that story. But if you train your mind to say, I have what it takes, you'll walk different. You'll make decisions not from fear but from vision. That internal narrative becomes your lens, and here's the thing. Your mind doesn't care if what you're saying is true or false. It believes whatever you feed it. So feed it belief, not delusion, but vision rooted in potential. Millionaire minds understand the power of self-talk. They use it intentionally. They've trained themselves to override fear with purpose. When a doubt arises, they don't entertain it. They challenge it. They ask better questions. Instead of what if I fail, they ask what if this works. Instead of what if I'm not ready, they say how can I prepare faster. Their belief doesn't remove fear, it gives them the courage to move through it. Belief is not the absence of doubt, it's the decision that your dream is bigger than your fear, and belief isn't just internal, it shapes how you engage with the world. If you believe your time is valuable, you won't waste it. If you believe your ideas matter, you'll speak up. If you believe your work is worth something, you'll raise your standards. Belief influences posture, language, tone, and energy. You can walk into a room and tell who believes in themselves and who's pretending. That quiet confidence, it's not arrogance, it's belief earned through discipline, learning, and experience. Now belief also requires evidence. It's not just about repeating affirmations in the mirror. It's about proving to yourself, day by day, that you're capable. Small wins matter. They stack up. Each promise you keep to yourself, each challenge you overcome, adds another layer to your belief. You start to say, if I did that, I can do this. And suddenly, what seemed impossible starts to feel within reach. That's why millionaire minds love the process. They aren't just chasing results. They're building proof. Proof that they can trust themselves. Proof that they are growing. And that proof reinforces their belief. Belief also determines the people you attract and the opportunities that come your way. People are drawn to those who carry certainty. Not fake confidence, but grounded belief. If you walk into a room unsure of your worth, the world mirrors that energy back to you. But if you walk in knowing what you bring to the table, because you've done the work, then people notice. Doors open, not because you begged, but because belief speaks louder than words. Your belief is also what pushes you to raise your standards. When you truly believe you are meant for more, you stop settling. You stop tolerating the mediocre. You cut off habits, relationships, and excuses that no longer match your vision. That's the quiet power of belief. It demands alignment. You begin to act like the person you believe you are becoming. You don't wait until the title changes or the income shows up. You start living in agreement with the future you've decided on. Most people are waiting for evidence before they believe, but that's not how growth works. You have to believe first, then act, then build. You create the evidence by taking the first step. That's how millionaire minds move. They don't wait for the world to validate them. They validate themselves by their preparation, by their actions, and by the mindset they protect daily. Focus is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. In a world filled with endless distractions, the ability to focus has become rare, and anything that's rare becomes valuable. Millionaire minds understand that where focus goes, energy flows, and results follow. They don't chase everything, they choose what matters. They know that clarity beats chaos and that doing fewer things with greater intention leads to greater outcomes than doing 100 things with half a heart. Focus begins with intention. It's not just about attention. It's about direction. It's the decision to narrow your vision so you can deepen your results. People often confuse activity with achievement. They stay busy, jumping from task to task, device to device, conversation to conversation, but they rarely move forward. Focus, on the other hand, brings depth. It's the discipline to block out noise, to shut down tabs both on your computer and in your mind, and give something your full presence. Millionaire minds treat focus like a muscle. They don't expect it to be strong without training. They build it, protect it, and respect it. They set boundaries with their time and their attention. They don't let social media, emails, or endless notifications dictate their priorities. They start the day with clarity about what needs to get done, and they protect that clarity fiercely, because every distraction has a cost. Every time your mind is pulled away from what matters, there's a reset tax. And those tiny taxes, taken all day long, rob you of momentum, energy, and sharpness. People who achieve at high levels aren't more gifted. They are more focused. They don't let urgency outrank importance. They have systems for their day. They work in blocks. They schedule thinking time. They take breaks not to escape work, but to sharpen their ability to re-enter with more clarity. They don't worship hustle. They worship effectiveness. It's not about how many hours you grind, but how well you guard your focus within those hours. Focus also demands that you get clear on what you want. Most people are vague. They say they want success, freedom, or wealth, but they haven't defined what that means or what it requires. A millionaire mind is specific. It sets measurable goals and then organizes its focus around them. When you know what you want, saying no becomes easier. You're no longer tempted by every shiny object because you understand that chasing distractions delays your destiny. The ability to say no is one of the strongest signs of focus. Millionaire minds say no more than they say yes, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. They know that every yes is a commitment of energy, and if that commitment doesn't serve their bigger picture, it's a withdrawal from what really matters. Focus isn't just about what you do, it's about what you deliberately don't do. It's the ability to eliminate, delegate, or defer anything that doesn't serve your highest goals. Focus also extends to your mental environment. It's not just about the tasks you choose, but the thoughts you entertain. A focused mind doesn't dwell on drama, gossip, or regret. It doesn't waste bandwidth on comparisons or criticism. It keeps the internal channel clean, sharp, and forward-facing. It's selective with its thoughts because it knows that thinking is not neutral, it's creative. What you think about, you move toward. Millionaire minds focus on solutions, not problems. They focus on progress, not perfection. They focus on what they can control, not what they can't. There's also power in focusing on the process rather than the prize. The outcome matters, yes, but it's the consistent, focused work that builds the outcome. Millionaire minds fall in love with the process. They focus on the inputs, on the reps, the habits, the preparation, because they know that when they control the process, the results will eventually follow. Focus isn't about instant gratification. It's about sustained attention over time, long enough to master a skill, build a reputation, or complete a vision. And focus creates momentum. When you give your full attention to one meaningful thing, even for a short burst, the quality of that work improves. That improvement creates results. Those results build confidence. That confidence feeds motivation. And that motivation leads you right back to more focused work. It's a cycle, and it all begins with choosing one thing and giving it your all. Focus is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely. Unlike time, which continues at the same pace for everyone, focus is finite and deeply personal. Two people can spend the same hour on a task, yet produce vastly different results, not because one is smarter, but because one was present. Focus is presence. It's the ability to silence the noise, both inside and outside, and give your full attention to what truly matters. Millionaire minds have mastered this because they understand the world is designed to steal their attention, and if they don't protect it, someone else will spend it for them. Distractions are everywhere, cleverly disguised as opportunities, entertainment, or even productivity. But distractions have a cost. They rob you not just of time, but of depth. They fragment your thoughts, dilute your efforts, and stretch your attention so thin that nothing meaningful gets completed. Millionaire minds don't allow this kind of fragmentation. They know that multitasking is a myth, that trying to do everything at once guarantees that nothing will be done well. They value single, tasking, deep work, and sustained concentration. These are the qualities that separate those who dabble from those who dominate. Focus is a filter. It helps you separate the essential from the optional. Without it, you fall into the trap of busyness, bending your energy on urgent but unimportant tasks, reacting instead of creating. Focus means being ruthless with your priorities. It means looking at your to-do list and asking not what can I do, but what must I do. The clearer your priorities, the sharper your focus. Millionaire minds start their days knowing exactly what outcome they're driving toward. They don't leave it to chance or mood. Their plan is already set, and their mind is already made up. A focused mind is not a mind free from distraction, but one trained to return to the task at hand. Distraction is natural, but redirection is powerful. Millionaire minds train themselves to return quickly, to notice when they've drifted and gently, but firmly bring their attention back. It's like going to the gym. Not every rep is perfect, but consistency builds strength. Focus is strengthened the same way. Every time you return to your goal, despite temptation, you're building the mental muscle that separates amateurs from masters. Focus is also tied to emotion. A scattered mind is often an anxious one, worried about what's next or what just happened. Millionaire minds learn to manage emotion through structure. They don't wake up hoping for a focused day. They design one. They remove temptations before they arise. They use tools, schedules, routines, and rituals to preserve their mental bandwidth. They know the mind is not designed to hold everything, so they write things down, they delegate, they simplify. Simplicity is one of focus's best friends. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more attention you can invest where it counts. There's a reason the most successful people in any field often wear similar clothes, eat similar meals, follow similar schedules. It's not because they're boring, it's because they're focused. They eliminate trivial decisions to protect their brainpower for what matters. Millionaire minds don't need constant novelty. They don't chase stimulation. They're not addicted to new. They're addicted to better. They're not easily impressed. They're easily focused. That's a mindset difference, and it shows up in how they work, how they think, and how they move through their day. Focus also reveals what you truly care about. Your attention follows your values. If you're constantly distracted, it might be because you haven't fully committed to what you're doing. Millionaire minds go all in. When they work, they work. When they rest, they rest. They bring full presence to both, because they understand that divided attention creates divided results. They aren't perfect, but they are intentional, and that intention makes all the difference. The ability to focus also determines how fast you learn. Deep focus leads to deep learning. When you concentrate fully, you retain more, understand faster, and solve problems with greater creativity. Millionaire minds love learning, but more importantly, they love focused learning. They don't skim. They study. They don't dabble. They master. They choose the subjects that align with their goals, and they pursue them with purpose, not curiosity alone. Focus turns ambition into achievement. It transforms good ideas into great outcomes. It's not loud. It's not flashy, but it's powerful. It doesn't ask for attention. It delivers results. Focus is the bridge between vision and reality, and those who guard it relentlessly are the ones who create lives of impact, purpose, and prosperity. Environment shapes thinking, choose it intentionally. The space you live in, the people you surround yourself with, the conversations you allow, the sounds you hear, the things you see on your screens, all of it sends signals to your mind. Those signals create thoughts. Those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs shape behavior. Millionaire minds are not formed in chaos. They are crafted in environments that support clarity, discipline, and growth. They understand that even the strongest mindset can be worn down by a toxic atmosphere, so they curate their surroundings with purpose. Your environment either feeds your focus or fractures it. It either nurtures your potential or drains your energy. Look at any person who has achieved a high level of success, and you will see, behind the scenes, a carefully designed environment that matches their vision. Their desk is organized, their calendar is protected, their social circle is sharp. They don't leave these things to chance. They know that if you don't design your environment, it will design you, and often in a way that serves distraction more than destiny. The people you allow into your inner circle are part of your environment. Millionaire minds choose proximity wisely. They don't confuse being nice with being available to everyone. They understand that conversations are not neutral. They either stretch you or shrink you. They spend time with those who challenge their assumptions, spark ideas, and model integrity. They avoid complainers, victims, and gossipers, not because they think they're better, but because they know the cost of soaking in negativity. Mental energy is precious, and the wrong people can drain it before the day even begins. Physical space matters too. Clutter in your environment creates clutter in your mind. Millionaire minds value order not because they're obsessed with cleanliness, but because they understand that visual noise competes with mental clarity. A clean space helps produce a clean slate. It invites focus, sharp thinking, and high performance. They don't wait until things fall apart to create structure. They build structure so things don't fall apart. Their home is not just a place to sleep. Their office is not just a place to work. Every room, every item, every tool serves a function that aligns with their mission. Digital environment is another critical layer. Your phone, your social media, your email inbox, these are part of your mental landscape. Millionaire minds don't allow these tools to become traps. They control their inputs. They don't start their day scrolling. They don't follow accounts that breed comparison or doubt. They don't chase every headline. They know the brain is influenced by what it repeatedly consumes. So they choose content that uplifts, informs, or inspires. They set limits on screen time, not because they hate technology, but because they respect their attention. Environment also includes the rhythms and rituals that set the tone for each day. Millionaire minds create routines that signal to the brain, it's time to win. Whether it's a morning walk, journaling session, meditation, or workout, these routines aren't just habits, they're cues. Cues that tell the mind it's time to focus, to grow, to build. These cues eliminate friction. They reduce decision fatigue. They allow the brain to move into high gear without delay. That consistency creates momentum, and momentum becomes the silent engine behind high performance. The culture you create around you is another part of environment. Culture is what's accepted, what's encouraged, and what's repeated. Millionaire minds create cultures of accountability. In their home, in their business, in their teams, excellence is the norm. They speak with intention. They reward discipline. They don't tolerate excuses. They elevate standards not just for themselves, but for those around them. This doesn't mean they are hard or rigid. It means they are clear. Clarity in culture reduces conflict and confusion. It allows everyone to rise together with shared purpose. Even your future is part of your environment, in a way. The vision you carry in your mind of what's possible shapes your choices today. Millionaire minds build environments that remind them daily of where they're going. A note on the wall, a photo on the desk, a goal written on the mirror. These are anchors. They keep the mind aligned. They don't let the urgency of now distract from the importance of next. They keep the future in view, so the present decisions stay in line. Environment is not just background, it is active. It influences your mood, your pace, your creativity, and your confidence. It can push you to grow or pull you into stagnation. Millionaire minds know that success is not just about grinding harder, it's about setting up the right space so that high performance becomes the default, not the exception. They take responsibility for their surroundings because they know those surroundings are constantly shaping what they think, feel, and ultimately become. Habits build identity, create them with intention. The life you live today is largely the result of the habits you built yesterday. What you repeatedly do shapes not just your results, but who you believe you are. Millionaire minds understand that success is not about one big break or a stroke of luck. It's about small, consistent actions that compound over time. They aren't obsessed with outcomes, they are obsessed with patterns. They know that winning is less about a grand strategy and more about daily discipline. Habits are the invisible architecture of achievement. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Millionaire minds have systems. They wake up at specific times, not because it's trendy, but because it sets the tone. They schedule time to think, to plan, to review. They eat, move, and rest with consistency because they know that physical energy drives mental sharpness. These aren't random behaviors. They are rituals created on purpose, aligned with the person they've chosen to become. The power of a habit is not just in the action. It's in what it tells your brain about your identity. When you write daily, you become a writer. When you save consistently, you become someone who is disciplined with money. When you keep your word to yourself, even in small things, you become someone who trusts your own integrity. Millionaire minds don't try to act successful. They train until success becomes who they are. Their habits are not a performance. They are an expression of a deeper identity, one built through repetition and refinement. Creating powerful habits starts with clarity. You must decide who you want to become, not just what you want to achieve. Once that identity is clear, you ask, what does a person like that do every day? That question becomes your compass. Millionaire minds reverse, engineer their behavior from their future. They don't wait until they feel ready. They act in alignment with their vision, even when the mood isn't there, because they know that mood is unreliable, but identity-driven habits are dependable. The best habits are simple. Complexity is the enemy of consistency. Millionaire minds don't look for elaborate routines. They look for essential actions. They pick a few key habits and execute them relentlessly. They track them, they measure them, they adjust them when needed, but they don't abandon them in pursuit of novelty. They understand that excellence is built through boredom, by doing the right thing over and over, even when it feels routine. Because in that routine, mastery is being formed. Habits also protect decision-making power. Every choice you make burns mental energy. Millionaire minds reduce the number of unnecessary choices by automating as much as possible. They wear similar outfits, structure similar days, and eat similar meals, not out of rigidity but out of wisdom. They save their decision-making energy for high-leverage thinking, not trivial tasks. Their habits create mental space, and that space allows for deeper, clearer thought. Not all habits are about doing more. Some of the most powerful habits are about subtraction. Habits of avoidance. Millionaire minds know what to say no to. They avoid gossip, distraction, late night scrolling, reactive mornings. They build boundaries into their routines. Their phone doesn't go into the bedroom. Their mornings don't start with emails. Their evenings include reflection. These are habits too, silent ones, unseen by most, but deeply effective. Because success is not just about addition. It's about elimination. Momentum is another product of strong habits. When you string together a series of small wins, confidence grows. That confidence fuels more consistent action. And over time, that cycle creates breakthroughs. Millionaire minds don't chase motivation. They build momentum. They understand that when you do something every day, even if it's small, you're not starting from zero each morning. You're building on a foundation. Each repetition reinforces the pathway in the brain. Each act becomes easier, more automatic, more powerful. Recovery is also a habit. Millionaire minds don't glorify burnout. They rest with purpose. They take care of their mind and body because they know long-term success requires sustainability. Their recovery routines, sleep, nutrition, stillness, are not indulgences, they are investments. They allow for resilience. They allow them to show up sharp, not just once, but again and again. The difference between a millionaire mind and a mediocre one is not usually knowledge, it's application. And application lives in habit. Anyone can read a book, take a course, attend a seminar, but only those who build what they learn into their daily rhythms will see transformation. Millionaire minds act on what they know. They embed the lesson in their behavior. They become the kind of person whose results are inevitable, not because they're lucky, but because their habits leave no other option. Your thoughts are investments. Bend them with intention. Every thought you think is a seed planted in the soil of your mind, and that seed produces fruit, whether you want it to or not. Millionaire minds understand that their dominant thoughts shape the tone of their lives. They don't leave mental patterns to chance. They monitor, direct, and refine their thinking with the same intensity that others watch their bank accounts. Because they know that what you continually think, you eventually believe, and what you believe dictates how you act, and how you act creates your reality. Most people are casual with their thoughts. They entertain fear without challenge. They replay past failures without pause. They dwell on worst case scenarios as if that's preparation. But millionaire minds treat thoughts like money, valuable, powerful, and limited. They know that you don't spend your dollars on junk and expect to build wealth, and likewise, you don't spend your thoughts on worry, doubt, and complaint and expect to build greatness. Every time you think a thought, you reinforce a pathway in your brain. Millionaire minds are not just aware of that, they use it to their advantage. They begin by observing their thoughts. They become students of their own mind. They notice what stories play on repeat, what triggers their negativity, what words they use when they speak to themselves. Self-awareness is not just emotional, it's strategic. Millionaire minds journal, reflect, meditate, pause. They interrupt spirals before those spirals become moods and decisions. They don't suppress thought, they examine it. They ask, is this thought serving me? Is it helping me grow, move forward, take action? If the answer is no, they don't entertain it like a guest. They redirect it like a leader. They also understand the power of language. The way you speak shapes the way you think, and the way you think shapes the way you live. Millionaire minds don't use sloppy words. They don't say I can't, when they mean I haven't yet. They don't say I'm stuck, when they mean I haven't found a solution. Their language is precise, empowering, and forward-facing. Even in failure, they speak possibility. Even in uncertainty, they speak direction. They know words are not just tools for communication. They are tools for construction. And they use them to build a mindset that's resilient, creative, and committed. Thought management also means choosing what thoughts to amplify. Not every idea that enters your mind deserves a microphone. Millionaire minds are selective about what they allow to grow. They feed gratitude. They water optimism. They shine light on ideas that energize them, not drain them. This doesn't mean they ignore reality. They just choose not to dwell in limitation. They give more mental space to solutions than to problems, more time to vision than to fear, more attention to who they can become than to who they used to be. Visualization is another way they invest their thoughts. Millionaire minds don't just work hard. They think vividly. They see their goals in their mind's eye before they ever touch them in reality. They rehearse success mentally, preparing themselves to walk into rooms, lead teams, close deals, create art. They understand that the mind cannot distinguish clearly between real and vividly imagined, so they use that to their advantage. They train their mind to expect excellence, to feel capable, to walk in confidence before the evidence even arrives. That kind of thinking shapes behavior in powerful ways. They also protect their mental environment. Just like a gardener pulls weeds, millionaire minds remove mental clutter. They don't fill every moment with noise. They value silence, stillness, solitude. In those moments, they sort thoughts, clarify priorities, and return to center. They don't fear boredom. It's in boredom that the best ideas often emerge. They don't fear reflection. It's in reflection that wisdom is formed. They make room for high-quality thinking because they understand that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. Belief is the final layer of thought mastery. Millionaire minds believe deeply, not just in their goals, but in their ability to grow into the person who achieves them. They don't start from perfection. They start from belief. That belief fuels effort. That effort fuels progress. And that progress fuels more belief. It's a cycle, and they protect it fiercely. They don't adopt limiting beliefs from their past, their surroundings, or their failures. They write new beliefs. They affirm them daily. They act on them even when the evidence is still forming. Because belief is not about proof, it's about direction. It's the lens that determines how you interpret every experience. And when your thoughts are aligned with belief, your actions begin to align with destiny.